ranks are dealt with very easily by the Ethiopians. So
all right, well, let's see. We've got game number 5 coming our way. As you can see on the scoreboard, Liereyyy is up 3 games to 1. Liereyyy did go Chinese, and Hearttt went Vikings. So Zach and I were just a little bit off. We had something. Well, you had some things right, but I had nothing right. This is Killer B. We're watching the semifinals. King of the Desert 2017. I am joined by Milmano, who may be AFK at the moment, and the man himself, Mr. Zero Empires. How are you, sir?
I'm really good. I've been enjoying this series. I only planned to stay for one, but well, we're still here. So
It's just like at the bar. You always plan for one, but it turns into more, right?
get carried away, and before you know it, it's closing time, and you're under the table. They're like, "Get out from under there! What are you doing?" I just want to stay here forever, man.
Yeah, I'm really glad you joined me. This is unexpected, last minute co-casting from a couple of legends. It has been a great series, and yeah, what's on your mind? What are your thoughts here? We've got Chinese versus Vikings. Obviously, we're on Arabia. Heartt's got an elimination game on his hands. I'll show people the map, and you can tell me what you think about this matchup.
I think Vikings are massively underrated on land maps. I think they're very, very good. And I think Hearttt has to win early, like before it gets to sort of like Imperial Age time. Liereyyy, if it goes late, should have all the tools in his box to deal with the late game Vikings. But yeah, I do think that Vikings have a pretty reasonable chance here. And I'd like to see Hearttt get aggressive with a drush, because the Chinese infamously don't tend to do any drush action because they're slower food income at the start of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Chinese is a slow civ, and a drush man-at-arms potentially from Hearttt would be what would be on my mind. Of course, he needs to do some scouting and figure out what he wants to get done. I think it's notable that both players do have a re. Liereyyy might consider using it. He's got 3 resource piles on the front of his map and an awkward hill in front of his base, so we'll see if he decides to do that. Heartt's map isn't anything to brag about either. He could re, since it's an elimination game. He might want to have the perfect scenario, but we'll see if that happens. Yeah, I'm not sure, but you were right.
He's not used any rees, and his maps have been horrible this whole set. That is single good map, and this one is like terrible as well. So yeah, good going, Hearttt. Really, really good in there. I'm like, look at his gold on the left. That hill from Liereyyy is just like, or that Liereyyy would be able to take. It's just so perfect. Probably part of the reason why we're seeing Hearttt already starting to wall out there, but I don't like his map, and I've not liked any of his maps really. And although Liereyy's map is not perfect either, it still looks better than Heartt's again.
Hearttt has an opportunity here. If he's going to he should try to steal Liereyy's boar right now. He sees the boar. He might. It looks like he's going to have to try to lame this Vil from Liereyyy. Sometimes if you have a map where you want to anyway, you can get in and lame, but Liereyyy has already loomed up because he's Chinese, so I think that boar really needed to be stolen. Unfortunately, Heartt's not going to get much done. He's really trying, and I don't know why. It's really hard to kill a loomed Vil on a boar lure like that. Hearttt will lose his scout, but we're too far into this match to anyway, so I guess that option is off the table. Liereyy's saying, "You're not MBL." Not sure what that means.
Well, he's not a lamer like MBL, so he can't get away with it. Yeah, this is scout. That's kind of a big deal. I mean, look at Heartt's scouting right now. Has he checked all the boxes? Well, he's scouted his own base sufficiently, I would say. Well, it's sort of. I mean, he hasn't spotted many of the larger wood lines outside of his line of sight, which could be a problem when it comes to walling. But yeah, he doesn't really have much vision on Liereyy's map, and that is more of an issue.
I like that there are 3 guys in Aftermath. 2 of them are squaring off here in the semifinals, and they just started relentlessly trash-talking MBL.
That's a good sign of things to come, isn't it, for Aftermath? I'm sure they'll go far.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you know, a little bit of banter here is always fun.
Fighting.
I think you're right, though, that losing that scout, anytime you lose your scout, it's really bad. Hearttt did do some good early game scouting, but of course, Liereyy's got his scout on full HP. It's not totally improbable that the Chinese player could go with scouts, and if he does, he'll have one more than his opponent. What's the word? Conjectured? I don't know. We guessed that the Vikings player might go with men-at-arms and a drush, but he has not built any militia yet. There are 2 Vils out on gold. There could be a 3rd on the way. Still, here come the militia. Red as I gave up hope. Militia are on the way out, Zach.
Yeah, the conjectured would actually be the right way to say that.
Okay, I
does
made
work.
it. Oh, right.
Yeah, it does work. I like Heartt's mill in the back, by the way. He's got the deer right there next to the berries. That's really nice. Doesn't have to. I mean, he doesn't get bit in the butt now. The fact that he's lost his scout and he can't push them in because they're just so close. Maybe it was intentional all along. But yeah, Heartt's going to get the 3 militia out, as you say. And of course, Liereyy's not drushing here because he's the Chinese. We established that already. It's very unlikely to see that happen. And Heartt wants to get the action over on the other side of the map right here.
Yeah, Heartt at the moment is pushing out with those militia. Both guys on the way to feudal. We will have a couple extra vills for Liereyyy as he goes up. I'm confused. Why does Liereyyy have more vills? Because he's Chinese. Thank you, Smarthy, for the cheer. Hello, welcome to you. It is 3-1 elimination match. Heartt is he needs a win here, obviously. Right now, coming in with his militia, he's down a scout. Men-at-Arms is on the way, and we'll see if Heartt can get something done. Liereyyy has the notoriously slow Civ Chinese. He is going to immediately drop a couple of archery ranges on top of the hill in front of his base. Liereyyy needs to control this hill. I like that he's building up on that ridgeline. And we'll see if he can defend this men-at-arms rush. Oh, nice quick wall there. Very nice.
Oh, he's going to wall them in. He's going to wall them in. He's got it. Oh, there you go. Liereyyy.
Okay.
Liereyyy. Beautiful. Well played by him.
Yes.
And
Wow.
Heartt's like, you're an ass. And Liereyy's like, yep, I know I am. But what are you going to do about it? Try some more.
Heartt can probably knock it out in time as Liereyyy sends some skirms over. Beautiful quick walling. Heartt could push on this palisade by the pond and get out, but effectively his men-at-arms don't have much of a chance of killing anybody anytime soon. So some great quick walling, some good early play from Liereyyy. He's ahead of scout. He's going to clean these men-at-arms. His opponent, Heartt, got up to the feudal age, and Heartt is going double range and into archers. And his opponent, Liereyyy, will be going skirms.
It's really unfortunate for Heartt. I mean, this is the elimination match now, and he needs this win. He needs this win, and then this happens. You know, he's just gonna sit there and watch his men-at-arms get whittled away by skirmishers of all things. Like, they're taking so long to kill them. They're so bad, but he just has to sit there and take it. Man. But yeah, interestingly, Heartt going into archers. Strange choice as well, given that he knows Liereyyy is on full skirms, and he does certainly have the vision of that. So, Heartt's like creating space. These guys have been playing too much League of Legends.
The trash talk, or the friendly banter, continues, I should say. Blacksmith is on the way, so those skirms will get beefed up a bit. Heartt is going to tower up his own gold, and like you said, he's going archers, which means he's going to have to do a Kansas City shuffle on his opponent. He's going to have to trick Liereyyy into committing to a fight somewhere and then try to hit him somewhere else. Of course, he can't just bull rush a bunch of skirmishers from Liereyyy. But Liereyyy has great skirm micro, and he's obviously in the driver's seat in this game as fletching comes in. Chinese are slow, but once they get going, they are a really tough civ to deal with, and it doesn't seem like Heartt has been able to deter Liereyyy at all in this early game.
Absolutely. I mean, the cheaper techs now coming in the feudal age, so he can get his fletching and his padded archer armor a little bit cheaper. And yeah, I mean, obviously they do get off to a pretty strong start. Typically, it's a slow, steady start, but it's a strong start. And with 2 extra villagers working away right now, and Heartt onto archers, Liereyy's coming forward to force an engagement. So Heartt's got to just hold back. He's actually dropping down a stable here. Interesting. Looks like he will actually transition into some scouts, and we did see this work for him in the not last game but the game before, so certainly a reasonable thing to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big feudal play for Heartt is one possibility. He's playing from behind. He's got to do something. One nice thing for Heartt, though, is this army from Liereyyy is on the front. He can see those numbers. He knows that's basically the bulk of Liereyy's group. And that could let Heartt spill out the other side of his base with about 8 archers heading toward Liereyyy. Liereyy's open in just one place on that far left corner, so it is possible still to get in on that side. So keep this all in mind, but for now the skirmishers are into Heartt's eco, and he's just going to have to run back to the TC for now and hope that Liereyyy doesn't dive under the TC here.
Yeah, well, actually, Heartt's doing just that, and I think that's a really good point you made there. He can counterattack because he knows where Liereyy's army is, and Liereyy's army isn't a huge threat to his villagers. Admittedly, he did kill one or two, but the point remains, those skirms are not doing huge damage to vills, and these archers, on the other hand, fletching complete, coming in now behind the wood line, could get in there behind the oasis actually and do damage that way. But he's looking for another way. Oh no, he's backing up. I think he'll get two villagers on the wood line here, unless Liereyyy notices very quickly.
Yeah, those archers arrive on that pond. Liereyy's going to lose a villager or two, like you said. One vill down.
Oh, got it.
Two villagers down there for Hearttt.
Got it.
Bringing him closer to the villager count of Liereyyy. Liereyy's on the way to Wheelbarrow, by the way, so we'll see the villager count do a little flip-flop. Liereyyy brought his whole army back to deal with Hearttt, which you have to think is a bonus for Hearttt, right, Zach? I mean, his economy really couldn't absorb 20 skirmishers, and the fact that Liereyyy has turned around such a big group to deal with 7 archers in a skirm, it feels good for Hearttt, right? This feels okay.
Definitely 30 skirmishers, actually. I mean, Liereyyy is all in on the skirms right now. And a few spears as well. But the spears, obviously, going to be able to deal with the scouts. And typically, scouts, archers, the best feudal combo you can go for. But yeah, it's down to Hearttt to micro well and to take the best fight possible here. Scouts coming in. He's got +1 defense on these guys as well. Gonna help a little bit versus the spears, but against the skirms it doesn't really make any difference. And gonna try and micro this fight to the best of his ability. The scout's gonna be doing lots of damage to the skirms here.
Yeah, not a bad fight for Hearttt. I think he's going to get most of those spears focused down. His scouts, as you said, have +1 defense, so they're pretty tanky. Everything's tanky versus skirms, I guess, other than archers. But for the moment, Liereyy's army is getting dwindled. Hearttt should have a little bit less in the bank than Liereyyy, I would expect. 300 food, 150 gold. Liereyyy will click up soon. So though Hearttt here is getting a pretty good fight, I think Liereyyy is still going to be in a good position to get to castle first. He will have 2 ranges down and a stable on the way, I should say.
Yeah, well, obviously Heartt's been making these scouts as well as the archers, which is costing quite a significant amount of food as well. Obviously, Liereyyy is also doing skirms, and you know, that's kind of adding up or costing him quite a lot of food. But all in all, you are correct. Liereyyy will be up to the castle age first, and not only that, he's look at this. He's just clicked up to the castle age. He can almost afford to do it again. He's absolutely loaded right now, and it looks like since he's dropped down, I assume he's dropped a tower somewhere, although I don't see it. Oh, I'm looking at Hearttt right now. My bad. Am I just looking at the wrong person? I think I am.
Liereyyy did have a bunch of resources. He went bloodlines, he went 2 stables and scale barding, so he did have a lot in the bank. So your point still stands. It still works, man. Good.
I'm glad, because that was bad. But I thought he built a tower, but I was looking at Heartt's resources. Liereyyy could go for the second, third TC, but with 2 stables down as well, I mean, he's going to go straight into knights, or yeah, probably just knights. I mean, no reason to go camels here.
Yeah, I think your analysis is pretty spot on. I think that Hearttt here is. Maybe I sounded a little bit negative. Hearttt here has done enough to keep himself in this game. He was in danger of losing this game with all these skirmishers right in front of his base. That really could have gotten ugly if they got into that fleshy part of the base, because they don't care that much about arrow fire. They would have idled a lot. It could have been really ugly. Hearttt sent out a small attack. He drew Liereyyy back home. He built up some scouts. He dwindled that skirmisher number. And Hearttt here, though he'll be second to the castle age, and though he's still a bit behind, he certainly has an opportunity to win. It will be double stable knights coming right away from Liereyyy.
Yeah, it's a good analysis, I think, happened there, and it was really important for Hearttt to do that. But it's worth noting at this stage, Liereyyy is way ahead in military count still, while still maintaining a good number of villagers as well. So we're expecting Liereyyy to do some big damage here as the upgrades start to come through, and Hearttt just doesn't have much to defend with. A few archers seem to be crossbow, but really it's Liereyyy once again in the driver's seat. As we've seen, it's a common theme with most of these games so far. It's really Liereyyy who's in control. He's wearing the trousers in this relationship.
Hearttt here is going to go crossbowman, bodkin arrow, and a couple of knights. Chain barding armor on the way for Liereyyy. He's got 4 knights that are still hanging around a bit defensively. Maybe he's looking to catch a counterattacking army out in the middle of nowhere. For now, Liereyyy will finally dive in. He did get bodkin arrow, but not elite skirm, so he'll roll in here and do as much damage as he can to these crossbows. As you said, Liereyy's in the driver's seat. One wonders how he will spend his wood here early on in the Castle Age. After this fight, we'll check out the inside of Liereyy's base. But Liereyyy just happily running under the TC, getting as many crossbows as he can. Good micro from Hearttt there, though, Zach, to get those crossbows out.
Yeah, he dropped them into the TC, popped them back out the other side, and yeah, to be honest, I think that was a bit of an underwhelming fight from Liereyyy there. He threw away most of his, or all of his skirmishes in the end, and didn't really get a lot for it. I think he was about 1 or 2 vills ahead when he hit the Castle Age, and he's still 1 or 2 vills ahead now. Only he has now lost that military advantage, so I've got to say that I do like the Chinese Civ. They're so versatile. They've got a lot of options. And if Liereyyy can survive this Castle Age now, I think he, going into the late game, should have the Civ advantage, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I mean, I guess the analogy I would use is that, I guess it's not an analogy, but Hearttt is just... He's taking marginally better fights. He's having marginally better results. He still feels like he's behind here. I think the Chinese Civ, like you said, is something he'll have to overcome in the late game. But the Vikings player is still giving himself a chance in an elimination game. Liereyyy hasn't made any major mistakes, but Hearttt is inching his way closer to being equal in this game. And I guess we'll see how this one goes. It doesn't look like we'll see a knockout blow just yet. We may see this one go post-imp. Again, we're cheering for Hearttt if we're cheering for more games because it's an elimination game for him.
But you're a caster, you're supposed to be unbiased. I'm leaving, this is terrible commentary. Oh, yeah, well, we're going to see a fight right now. Liereyyy, notably here, has got that Bloodlines tech. That is so crucial. He'll clean up the Knights from Hearttt quite comfortably, but will he catch up to the crossbows and clean them up as well? Looks likely, to be honest. He's also equipped with +2 defense. He's got some reinforcements coming over, and Liereyyy will be able to make pretty short work of that. Not bad at all for him, and that's exactly what he was looking for. Tying up the KDs right now after Hearttt maintained a KD advantage for some time, and now it's Liereyyy who's trying to counterattack.
Yeah, the third TC from Hearttt is in a... Well, it's in an aggressive position. He wants to try to get a TC out to the north. He's going to be able to potentially get lucky and get it up because the Knights are coming from the other side for now. Liereyy's army is really in one big mass, so maybe Hearttt can get that third TC. Liereyyy back at home has his second TC down, and we will just see him continue to pump out double stable Knights on 2 TCs. Third town center, though, is on the way for the blue player out in front of his base. That's an interesting position for that third town center, Zach. Liereyy's going to keep some wood really safe there, or relatively safe there on the front.
Yeah, I just noticed people in your chat saying, oh, they forgot that Zach was a Chinese fanboy. Like, I am. I really am. Like, I've always been a big sort of supporter of this Civ. I've always said, you know, Chinese, real force to be reckoned with. Don't count them out. But, yeah, the TC location from Hearttt, I think you're... It is aggressive, but I think he needs to secure the gold, so it's absolutely a reasonable place to put it. And even, again, Liereyy's TC, which is even more questionable, because that really doesn't secure anything. That's just... I feel like he's put it there for the sake of it.
Yeah,
he doesn't need a wood line.
That was
that one.
That was the one I was looking at. Like, yeah. What's going on here? But, hey, we'll see if he can make it work, I suppose. Liereyyy still has the Knights, he still kind of has the initiative, but we will see a Siege Workshop from Hearttt. Heartt's coming forward with a couple Knights of his own, +1/+1 for the Vikings player. Right now it's a 10-vil advantage for Liereyyy, who, again, like he's done a couple times in this series, is kind of playing like, I'm the better player and I know it, and I'm just going to let this game develop, and I'm not going to rush anything. Do you get that feeling too? It just seems like he's being very patient.
Yeah, it's like, I'm better and I know it. Well, he also knows that he's going to the late stage where he is going to have that edge. So he's fine with that. I mean, he's still pumping out Knights 2 at a time. Like, he's not really stopped his military production, but he's not really gone all in either. Like on previous games, you know, he's not dropped a forward Siege Workshop or anything like that. He's just content to sit back, wait for Hearttt to make the move, and then you know, counter it basically. all the while just working on his eco, building himself up towards that Imperial Age stage of the game. Hearttt currently doing ballistics right now. He put the Siege Workshop on the front. He's got his eye on that TC, but let's see if he can do something here. It's a big fight coming up.
Yeah, it looks like Liereyyy has the numbers to push this, but Hearttt has a couple of monks and a mangonel, so it could be interesting. Hearttt also is hanging out on top of that hill. Liereyyy will push in. Did not see any conversions come in, but one good mango shot. The crossbows are on the retreat, but they're still one-shotting knights for the most part. It does not look like Heartt's going to get out of this with any crossbows left, though.
Oh no, he's going to lose his whole army once again. That's twice now, as Liereyyy will overwhelm him here. And this is looking very bad for Hearttt now. He's going to get a castle up in a minute, and he might need to consider making some berserks from that castle in the later stages of the game if Liereyyy continues to go down this knight line or heavy into knights. Problem with that is that you can easily counter berserks later on with some Chukonu or some Arbalest or whatever it is you decide to go into as the Chinese. The world is your oyster if you are the Chinese player.
Yes, indeed. The world is your oyster as Chinese. It's a good civ. You're not the only fan of Chinese here. I always feel confident with a civ that can sort of absorb a little bit of anything your opponent can throw at it. For the moment, it's full knights for Liereyyy. It's been mostly a mono army. There's a couple of elite skirms mixed in. But Liereyy's going to run in here. He's going to clean up all these crossbows, and Hearttt will give the GG here. Not too soon. There were knights coming right into his eco. But Hearttt will give the GG. Good luck next. And we got to wrap this one up, Zach. This one is done.
Yeah. Very, very fast series. This was a best of 7. It feels like we've done this in like half an hour. It's been one after another out here. It's been a good series though. Obviously Liereyyy, a dominant player, let's say. I mean, Hearttt didn't really look like he had much of a fighting chance aside from, well, I mean, yeah, he got 2 games, didn't he?
Nope, it was 4-1 there at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he didn't get the second, but yeah, I mean, just very one-sided, and Liereyy's just the stronger player, what can I say?
Yeah, Hearttt has had a great run in this tournament. If we look at the brackets, which I'll pull up here for you guys, we will see Liereyyy moving forward. Hearttt was the 12 seed, so he's really kind of playing with house money here in the semifinals. He beat Tato, he beat Doubt. You got to feel pretty darn good about moving through that group. And now he's played his buddy Liereyyy, and although Heartt's going to lose this one, and Liereyyy will move on, I think that Hearttt is on the up and up, man. He certainly earned some respect, and I hope some eyeballs, and hopefully some fans out there will be more interested in seeing Hearttt in the next tournament. I think it was a great set of games. Hearttt didn't really make any huge mistakes. These guys were playing the game of inches, not miles, and it was a true pro semifinal match where it was a marginally better fight for one player, a marginally better fight for the other. And until that last game, we didn't see anything too terribly lopsided. And I feel really great about that match. That was exciting, Zach. I'm glad you joined me for this. You and Momano coming in at the last minute. That was a great surprise.
Yeah,